I'm going to hold my speech down to, that was a 30,000-foot flyover of Oakland County, 3 or 4 quick subjects, and then take some questions. Let's talk about AAA. How did we get that? Well, obviously, we're just merciless on our efforts to attract business, and it's been paying. It pays dividends even in a tough economy. When I first got there in 92, so 93 was my first year, I'm getting acclimated to the job as exec, and I asked about our bond rating, and we were, as I say, fairly well down the pecking order. And this is not a knock on the guy who preceded me, but in those days, he used to package up all their material and send it to Wall Street. I said, I don't want to do that. I want to go in. I want to take my treasurer, Hugh Doheny. I want to take my bond counsel. I want to take Bob Dado from finance. I want to take the top people. Let them, and there's about 8 of us make that trip every year. Let them see us. Let them get a sense of how good or how weak we may be. Let them get comfortable with how we manage and how we make our decisions. Let them see some gray hair around the table. And you add up all the time in government services, we're pushing 150 years. Let them get a sense that this county knows what they're doing. And the next year, it went up a notch. Next year, we went up a notch. And then eventually we got to AAA. And so we go every year. And now we walk in, it's hello, Francis, it's hello, Brooks. We now have a comfort zone with the very people who rate us. And that was important to establish that relationship. So it worked, and that's the way we're going in on the 30th of March. Last year, Bond Counsel scheduled our visit to Wall Street on March 17th. We changed bond counsel on March 18th. Who wants to go to New York on St. Patty's Day and try to do serious business? So this year's the 30th. Another thing that I think contributes to the AAA and contributes to the reputation that Oakland County enjoys is our unique budgeting practices. We have, and we're the only county in Michigan, probably 1 or 2 or 3 in America, that have a 2-year budget. So we're in balance for 2009, line item detail. We're in balance for 2010. We're looking out to 11 and 12. And because of that, we see problems on the horizon a couple of years out. And we see those problems coming. We make decisions now to reduce our costs, to engage in certain, obviously programs to reduce our exposure, long before the problem even gets here. Contrast that with the state. I'm sure John can comment. The fiscal year at the state starts October 1. Now follow me. October 1, fiscal year. October, November, December. That's 1/4 of the year. January. Now you get your 1/3 of the year. They have their first revenue estimating conference. And at a revenue estimating conference, basically what happens is the state sits down and tries to figure out how much revenue they have coming in to offset their expenditures going out. So they're already 1/3 of the way through the year before they even know if they've got a problem. Now they're down to 8 months to make corrections. And you can't turn a ship that big around in 8 months. You need to look out. I don't know why they don't adopt what we've been doing for years, but it's been a very, very, this is one thing Wall Street loves about Oakland County. We are a 2-year. So if it works for 2, my State of the County address was February 3rd, a couple of weeks ago. I announced we're going to be the only county in America going to a 3-year budget. We now have a triennial budget. We'll file it in a few months, and we will look out not just 2 years, 9, 10, and 11, which we are already doing. It'll be balanced, and we'll be looking at problems that occur in 12 and 13. And let me step out of my remarks tonight. What we see in 12 is not pretty. For all the property owners who are here, it's still going to decline. That's our best estimate. I got some really sharp men and women in my administration. I'd love to say, it's going to bounce back at the end of 10 and 11. What you're hearing about the bounce in 10 is really jobs. Jobs may start back halfway through 2010, but not property values. We're going to ride this sucker down for at least another 2-3 years. And that kills me because 59% of my budget that I live on, that I operate on, comes from property taxes. And as property values decline precipitously, so does the revenues that they generate. So you can see why we scramble every week to readjust our budget. Now we're readjusting for 9, 10, and 11 fiscal years. I brought in my top staff. And we said, here's the numbers, guys. This is what you're going to have to adjust to. 2 weeks later, the numbers I gave them are 50% now behind the real number. That's how fast it's changing. So it's a tough time for all of us who are in government trying to have a realistic budget. But I've got one of the best crews, and John was part of that, and I see the other commissioners back there in the back of the room who would agree that we have a very, very good, gifted budgeting team. And so I think we're up to the task. Let me tell you one story, and Lori would kill me if she knew I told this story. My director of management budget, a young lady named Lori Van Pelt. When I got to the office as county exec, that was 92 elections to 93, and we got our hands on the books, Bob Dado, who was then my director of management budget, came to me and he said, "Brooks, we got some problems." I said, "What's the matter, Bob?" He says, the administration that preceded us, now Dan Murphy was county exec, but the last 2 years he missed work because of a stroke. So the staff, when you don't have a leader, tends to do things that you wouldn't approve otherwise. Well, they were spending down equity. They were spending down general fund equity. They were spending down fund balances. And they were living on basically our reserves. So we had to stop that quickly because you got to have reserves. You won't be a AAA county without it, I guarantee you. So we froze hiring, we froze salaries, we had an early out program, 243 people went out, slashed the car fleet by 50%, on it went to get this ship righted. And we were really all burning the midnight oil to make sure we could turn this thing around as quickly as possible. This was 93, so into the 94 year. Now we're taking action as you would expect us to do. And I came to work about 10 minutes to 8. I parked in the back of the building, I go through the back door, and I'm walking up the stairs. And about 10 minutes to 8, this young lady, who was then a budget analyst, named Lori Van Pelt, was coming downstairs. And I said, "Whoa, Lori, you're getting an early start." She said, "No, Mr. Patterson, I'm just going home." And I thought, I like this lady, and she's going to go places in my administration, and right now she's the top finance person. In fact, she's the director of management budget. That's the kind of commitment, kind of talent we have in-house. So if I tell you all tonight, we got some serious challenges. We got some serious people who can deal with those challenges. A couple other things, then I'll take your questions. I spend most of my time, I got a lot of departments that to report to me. Where I spend most of my time is economic development. I mean, that's where I feel I can have value added. I don't belong over in the health department. I don't belong, over in some of the other departments. But where I feel I have some talent, where I can hopefully play an important role, is trying to create jobs and opportunities in this county. So a couple issues that I remember back in 99. I understand I took office in 93. 99, I remember people saying at lunch when I'd be speaking or dinner, "Hey, Brooks, we can't get people to apply to our best jobs. We got some of the top IT jobs, some of the top engineering jobs at our firm. Nobody's applying for them." I said, "Well, why not? I mean, these are high-paid salary jobs." I said, they just don't see us in Southeast Michigan as a high-tech region. These people are going to the East Coast and West Coast. When our kids graduate from some of the best schools in the country, they flee Michigan. They think they got to go to New York or Boston or Chicago or the West Coast. So I hired a friend of mine, Pat Anderson. A lot of you, I'm sure, know Pat. He's with the Anderson Economic Group up in Lansing, and his research firm. I said, "Pat, where are the high-tech jobs in America?" And he came back about 3 months later. He said, "Okay, here's the numbers. Number one, as you all would expect, Silicon Valley, over 300,000. Number two was Boston. They call it Route 128, just outside of Boston. That's MIT and Harvard. It's a powerful street. Number three was Oakland County, 167,500 high-tech jobs based on NASIC codes, but nobody knew that. So I took that number. Now I had some verifiable, empirical data, and I went out and started calling on these companies. I said, look, we've got this here. We got to begin to promote it. We got to begin to brand this region as high-tech. So I convinced 43 companies to form an association. Today it's called Automation Alley. It has over 1,000 members. And that's how it started. Very successful. And we just got an award from